Welcome to Unleash Leadership, the podcast where bold leaders and changemakers come together to share their stories, strategies, and insights for creating a lasting impact on society. Carla Blanco is your host. For over 28 years, she has been navigating the complexities of the corporate and government worlds, a journey that's taught her that authentic leadership isn't just about climbing the ladder. It's about lifting others as you rise. Along the way, she uncovered the unwritten rules that drive success, the ones no one tells you about, but that can define your career and legacy. On this podcast, she'll sit down with extraordinary guests from around the globe, leaders, visionaries, and innovators who are leaving their mark on the world. Together, they'll explore their journeys, uncover their tips and tricks, and dive into the challenges they've overcome to inspire you to excel in whatever you're facing. Whether you're climbing the corporate ranks, building your personal brand, or leading change in your community, this podcast is your space to grow, learn, and unleash the leader within. So grab a notebook, get ready to take action, and join us on this journey to unleash our leadership potential. Before we dive in, make sure to follow Carla on Instagram, LinkedIn, at Carla Blanco Coach, Carla with a K, and YouTube at Carla Blanco Show to stay connected and get even more leadership tips and updates.
Today, I'm delighted to introduce Mary Killelea, host of the To Be Bolder podcast and founder of To Be Bolder platform dedicated to helping ambitious professional women accelerate their careers by showing up with purpose and power on LinkedIn. Before launching To Be Bolder, Mary spent 9 years in corporate marketing at Intel Corporation and led her own digital marketing agency for 16 years. Her career spans both corporate and entrepreneurial spaces, providing her with first-hand experience in building credibility, leading teams, and creating meaningful visibility. Mary's mission is simple: to help women stop sitting on the sidelines and start gaining the recognition they deserve. Welcome, Mary. It's an honor to have you here. Share with us about your journey and share about family, friends, how you grew up, and where are you today?
Yeah, absolutely. I am so happy to be here talking to you. Um, so I guess I grew up in the Pacific Northwest and have been in Oregon almost all my life, so I consider it certainly home. And my kids obviously were raised here, and now they're kind of going off into the world on their own. One's in California and one's graduating soon, so who knows where she'll end up. Um, but I love Oregon, and it's a beautiful place. So for career wise, I had my own business. It was called Working Web Solutions. It was a digital marketing agency. I did that for 16 years. With that, you wear a whole bunch of hats. And so, not only sales, but, you're doing. And so I came to a point where I wanted to see if I could go work in the corporate world. Having always been on the agency side, I thought, well, let's go try being on the client side. So I put my name in and got hired over at Intel. I did marketing for them in their B2B space, so more around the processor technology. It was really technical, so there was a big ramp to do. But it was amazing. You had big budgets, complex organizations, constant changes, and just the level of smart people that I met there was so stimulating and so fun. But with all things, I think the time to shift and pivot came. Probably the last 6 years, well, it was 5 years prior to leaving Intel where I said, okay, I need to start a side project. I wanted more kind of ownership and creativity, and I didn't know where that would lead. But I started a podcast called To Be Bolder, and I invite successful business women to come in, share their career insights and advice for the next generation of women in business and tech. And I've been shocked and pleasantly surprised at just how generous women are and how they want to help other women. So it's been a fabulous journey. I think, You talk about I think personal experiences and what makes me me, I guess, would reflect on grit, um, resilience, and determination. I think it's really the believing that I can do anything, whether it was, leaving my solo company to go work in corporate or leaving corporate and going to restart my own business. I think you having that belief is essential to success. So I try to encourage that in other women as well.
I
So
love that.
yeah, I feel like I'm just getting started.
Yes, I am 100% sure of that because and actually it's really nice to listen how you are connecting your purpose with to be bolder.
Yeah.
Because at the end, all the advice from all those women that you interview and you leverage your own experiences to help women to advance their careers is so inspiring. Thank you, Mary. Is there any mentor that you would like to highlight, and what would be the best advice that you receive?
Oh gosh. For me, having my own business for a while, and this was, I'm going to date myself, but this was pre-internet, where you felt like you were an island. And so it was hard to find mentors. And then as I got into corporate and started meeting very smart women, and through doing, I think that was, personally, I think if you're going to interact or seek out a sponsor or mentor, you really have to prove yourself as an individual who's serious about their career. So I've been intentional about doing good work and reaching out and building relationships with women that I admire. So I like to call these women my board of advisors. And I don't know if they know they're my board of advisors, but I know I can reach out to them at any time and they'll respond to me and help me. I'm going to give some shout outs if that's okay. Lisa Blackberry
Please.
Forrester is a wonderful woman. Kristen Whiting, who I met at Intel, Barbara Rose is another woman I met at Intel. Tracy Zenti, I met at Microsoft years ago. Lucinda Henry, another woman that I met at Intel. And then Video Ram Mohan, she also was a woman at Intel. And these women, have all encouraged me and supported me and believed in me. And I think that's just such a gift to have women in your circle who
Yeah.
fill that void or fill that spot to energize you. So I'm thankful for that.
Oh, that's and it takes a village. I
Oh,
really like that you mentioned many women because for all of us, we really this is not a solo journey. This we really need to support each other, and you also support women to show up in their power and purposefully in their purpose in LinkedIn platform. Why is that part of your strategy? Of course, I know that all these women supported you, but at the same time, you are paving the way for others. So share more about that.
um, I think for as far as LinkedIn, it's where decision makers are. It's the biggest professional platform there is. I think it's an untapped into like an untapped social platform because it has 1 billion users and only 3% of those users are actively engaged. And so there's a huge opportunity if you're willing to be visible and to engage and show up consistently. And I think that's an opportunity that's too good to let go by. It's powerful for building thought leadership if you can express your point of view. So, I mean, it really it's a and personally because it takes the old networking, let's meet up at a meet up somewhere downtown, and it brings it to your desktop and it allows you to build relationships and not just local relationships but global relationships. And so again, I've met a just tremendous amount of interesting people, some for collaboration, some for just women that I and men that I admire. And obviously recruiters are on there. So it's from building thought leadership to positioning yourself with a good profile to attract recruiters who are looking to help you get to the next job level. So I just think it's a gold mine.
Oh, yes, I agree with you on that. And what are the main challenges you find women face when they are trying to get visibility and recognition?
Um, I think it is to get out of your own way, to stop waiting to be chosen. I kind of got trapped in that good girl. If I do my work and keep my head down, I'll be recognized and, I'll be rewarded with a new opportunity. But those opportunities really don't come to you unless you're out there claiming your worth, claiming and you don't have to be boastful, you don't have to be braggish. And I think that's another shift we as women need to make is reframing how we think visibility is. It's not about bragging. It's actually about giving others advice, sharing your knowledge, helping others. If you can position it in that way, I think a lot more women would participate in it because they have so much to offer, yet they keep quiet because they don't like the spotlight or they don't feel they've been invited to have a seat at the table. And I've just moved on and said, I'm claiming my spot at the table. And when you do that, it's amazing. People are like, "Well, here you go," and then I can give more seats to other women. So it has this wonderful ripple effect. And so I just, am happy that I'm stepping into the power that all of us have. It's just claiming your own power. And
Mhm.
that's challenging because we have habits. We have, things where we grew up in our families, positioning, things we were told when we were little, that we really have to kind of reframe, acknowledge, and then say, how do I want to present myself today? How do I want to be what narrative do I want to claim and write for myself? And I think when you do that, doors open up, opportunities start coming to you, and people start to recognize you in ways that they never did before. And I think that feels really great.
Oh, I love that. You own your narrative. I really
Yeah.
appreciate that. And you're a queen on personal brand. So share with us how's your learnings in your own business and then at Intel contributed to that knowledge and your expertise on building personal brand.
I think obviously Intel gives you this incredible wealth of other individuals who are smart, and contributing, and you can learn from the sea of people around you, And I always found, even if I had to go interview or talk to an engineer who was way more technical than me, that they were willing to, if I was true in seeking knowledge and curious, people like to be asked and share their knowledge if they feel you're sincere about growth. So I definitely think that is a takeaway that I've applied to my life is never being fearful of asking for help, but being sincere in taking that knowledge and not only paying it forward, but utilizing that. And then as far as what I've been able to do with To Be Bolder, I think you touched on this earlier, is through interviewing successful women that I've highlighted on my show, yourself included. Um, I've been able to find my own voice. And that was something that I guess I didn't go into it with that intention, but that's the beautiful thing that came out of the experience. And so that is why I think I am so passionate today about helping other women find their voice is because I've been there. I've been the one who was quiet in the room, who was waiting for the invitation. And it was through being surrounded by other smart women, it was being through doing that I found my own voice. Growing up, I wasn't always asked, what is your opinion? What do you think about this? So it was unnatural for me to share my opinions. So that is a habit I've had to try to break, and it's an intentional thing that I work on. But as you build a personal brand and you start to define what you stand for, what topics you're going to talk about, that helps kind of give you framework on helping you kind of go outside your comfort zone. And so, anyways, that's kind of the frameworks that I built for building confidence.
I love that. And actually, part of that framework, you also mentioned clarity, confidence, consistency. Can you share more about those?
Absolutely. Consistency, I would say, is almost the number one thing you need to do, because whether you're online on LinkedIn, or whether you are at the grocery store, or whether you're at your corporate job, or you're building a business, how you show up in all of those settings needs to be consistent. So, are you a leader? Are you thoughtful? Are you kind? Are you a follow througher with what you say you're going to do? Um, that's what people start to recognize you for, and then talk about you when you're not in the room. That's how sponsors and advocates can share, oh, I recommend so and so for this job because I know this about them. Even when, you may not be looking, people are watching. So that's, part of the beauty of LinkedIn is you can be intentional with how you present yourself. So if you want to come across as someone who's knowledgeable around AI or whatever, you just choose the narratives that you're going to, or the topics that you want to weave into your narrative. And then you start to teach other people what your expertise is. And so then maybe offline, you're also teaching your children's third grade class about AI because you're sharing that wisdom and knowledge with others. So there's consistency that you can weave into your, I guess I want to say existence, like your whole being.
Yes.
And so I think that's one thing I've been very intentional about, is being consistent. And then as far as like showing up, obviously, if you want to grow on any of these social media platforms, consistency is key because of the algorithms. But I think it goes so much broader than just, trying to play to the algorithms. It's about showing up consistently on and offline with who
Mm.
you are, what value you add, and how you show up.
Yes. What is your purpose that will
Yeah.
show up in those?
Yeah.
Mm. And let's talk about an advice that you could give to leaders that want to support women to rise to leadership positions.
Um, I would say leaders need to create a safe place for exploration, for failure, for risk taking, for support. I think when women don't feel like there's a safe place to bring their authentic self to work or to bring up ideas, they tend to be a little bit more reserved. So I think from a leader perspective that you definitely can get more out of your people by doing that. I would say a leading with emotional intelligence, and really like trying to look at the person holistically. And so maybe they came in late and were frazzled, and were late for a meeting. There's so much more happening behind that,
Mhm.
that if you have the empathy and intelligence to understand that maybe their kid was sick, or maybe they got a ticket, like you don't be reactive, be empathetic, be inquisitive. I mean, I'm not saying you have to get all in everyone's business, but if you had the emotional intelligence, like I used to do this, especially in corporate when I think it was less integrated into teams. You could read in a room who was on and who was off. And I think this one group I had that we worked together, it was almost like, what color are you? Are you green, yellow, or red? And that was just a safe way for us to go around the room and say how we were feeling without maybe revealing everything behind it that maybe was personal. But it helped give each other a little padding and a little space to be who they were in that day. And I thought that was really kind of a creative way.
Yeah. I think taking ownership of leadership and being self-aware of how we react to things allow us to create also those safe spaces. And as you have been mentioning throughout this time together, being
Mhm.
intentional. Thank you, Mary.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the best advice that you have received.
Oh, best advice that I have received. I think to show up as my authentic self and to not fear judgment. To, if I have a question, to ask the question, to not play small because of fearing of judgment. Really, just letting and stepping outside of judgment from others and so that you can grow. And because I think others, and I found this to be true too, is others share questions and are timid on asking questions. So when you ask questions, when you bring up things, there's this, like, you raise boats. You provide a safe space for other people to do it as well. Or you'll get private DMs like, that was really great, or that was brave of you. I've got a couple of
Thank you
those a
for
couple
asking.
times. That was brave, but at the same time, it was like, why not? I mean, like, if I work in a space where it's so unsafe to ask a question that could help me grow and hopefully benefit the group in which I'm asking, why would I not want to ask that? So I think it's about not playing small to be safe. It's really stepping into being bolder.
And when you are bolder, you give permission to others to be bolder too. Thank you,
Yes.
Mary.
Yes.
So, anything else that you would like to share with the audience?
Oh, goodness. I think we're living in such an incredibly amazing time with the innovation of AI. I think the world is obviously changing the landscape of jobs that exist today that are going away, how businesses are streamlining and cutting back for efficiencies. I think each of us owes it to ourselves to be exploring AI, to be learning, to be growing, to be inquisitive. And whether you're technical or not, do something that's going to set you up for growth to position yourself so that you add value. Understand where you add value and how you can articulate it to others so that you can be visible and so that you can be bolder and so that you can take control and not feel so out of control. Because I see a lot of people feeling out of control right now, and that makes me sad. So, I think the worst case, is you make a pivot or something happens to your career. Be bold in trying something new. And then if it doesn't work, pivot. Try something else new. Just don't be afraid of failure. Embrace it as a learning opportunity
Mhm.
and don't take a job loss as rejection or upon your own work uh, quality. It is what it is right now. This is a very unique time we're living in. And so I think it's on us to create our own plan Bs, to write our own narrative, to control our future, and to be
I'm
visible.
glad. Thank you for that. I appreciate that because I think is sometimes we humans have refer everything from the past, and our parents used to live in a very different environment. We are like a bridge generation, and definitely this constant restructuring of companies is something that is part of our new reality. And I appreciate that advice for people. What unleash leadership means to you?
Mm. Unleash leadership means showing up boldly, uh,
Oh,
speaking up with purpose, standing out with integrity. I love your work. I love how you are helping women to be fearless in their leadership. So yeah, unleash your leadership. I love what you're doing.
thank you. Mutual admiration. I really appreciate what you are doing too. Thank you for joining us and best of the best, Mary.